Podcast, TruthSeekah's podcast. Buckle up, everyone. We're going to talk aliens, UFOs, ghosts, spiritual and paranormal. From all of the three moons, beyond your wildest dreams. Nice.
TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah Podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the TruthSeekah Podcast. I'm your host, TruthSeekah. Excited and delighted to be with you guys again today. Got an awesome show lined up for you all. It's going to be really good. Excited about this. Got a couple things I need to get out the way first and let you guys know about what we got going on. September the 14th, we have the Christ Consciousness Conference here in Mobile, Alabama. So this is something that we're putting on ourselves. We got people driving from all over the country to be there. So if you would like to be a part of it, if you'd like to come and check it out, you can go to christ-consciousness.com to get tickets. Tickets are $25. If you're not able to be there in person, there's live stream options and all that good stuff available as well. So christ-consciousness.com, or you can go to truthseekah.com as well. The info is there. So I'm going to be performing. We're going to be doing some music. We're going to be talking about sound healing, vibration, color healing, light, all that good stuff. And we're going to get to experience that as well. Some singing bowls and chanting and stuff like that. It's going to be awesome. We also have Joshua Fluman, aka Gothic Mystic, will be there. He's going to be talking about dream interpretation and symbolism. My good friend Justin Caldwell will be playing the piano, ministering that way, and playing the piano prophetically over us. And it's going to be awesome. September 14th, Mobile, Alabama. Make sure you guys check that out. I want to say a huge thank you again to everybody who has supported my work via Patreon. This podcast would not be possible without your help and support. So thank you guys again. From the bottom of my heart, everybody who's been supporting since day one, you know who you are. Most of your names are scrolling at the bottom of the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. But I want to give a huge shout out to some of the newest patrons we have within the last week or so. Shout out to Gene Gonzalez. Thank you for coming on, believing in the vision. And Jerry Lomax, shout out to you too. If you'd like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music. You get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics. We do a Sunday morning seer class for a small group of people, and a bunch of really cool stuff that we're bringing to the table. I actually just uploaded the rest of my collection to the Patreon. So literally there's over 200 songs there, my entire discography. Go over there, check it out, and help yourself. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in today's guest. Joining me today on the podcast is Selene Williams. Selene, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the podcast.
I am fine, thank you. I'm fine. And I'm here in Switzerland today. The weather is good, everything is nice, and I'm very happy to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm in Mobile, Alabama, and the weather is not that nice. It's raining, it's dark outside, and it's early in the morning, but I am as well excited to be here with you guys. So, yeah, looking forward to this discussion. Do you want to introduce your son as well?
Oh, yes, I'm here with my son, who helps me a lot in my job because he knows Russian perfectly. Actually, he got his degree in Russian from Cambridge University, and now he's studying anthropology, always at Cambridge. And he helps me a lot because I work usually with Siberian shamans. I go to Siberia 2 times per year, and he helped me to understand this incredible women and men which live in the steppes and make incredible, amazing things. Now they founded a few months ago. They founded a shaman union in order to help to save nature. You know that in Siberia the forests are burning, and this is a really ecological disaster for our planet. And this is why the shamans have decided to found this shaman union. And I am a part of it. Me and my son, we are part of it. And we want to really help nature. And from a shaman perspective, the best thing to do to help nature is help human beings to change their thinking method, which is not just a mindset, but the thinking method, and try to think in a different way. Try to see that the multitude is in the one and the one is in the multitude. Try to see that the things, events, happen not because they have causes, but because they have ends, they have goals. And you see, my great friend Kazimir, who is a Siberian powerful shaman, always says that we can't help nature and our own bodies with the same tools with what we destroyed them. We destroyed the planet. We destroyed our body. And so we have to change the tools. And the tool of the tools is our thinking method. So we are here to give an help, a little help to this enormous mission.
Yeah. Yeah, and so just changing the consciousness of the planet, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those people who are here with us, and we're talking about shamans and shamanism, for people who don't know what that is, can you unpack that a little bit? What is a shaman?
The word shamans means the one who knows. And shaman are people who live all over the world. And they are people very close to nature. They are animists, and they see God in nature. When they say, when they pray God, they pray the rain, they pray the wolf, they pray the owl or the earth, the water. They see gods everywhere, and they they are able to see simultaneously the two aspects of reality, the visible and the invisible. The main job of a shaman is the shaman journey, which is a journey across the great threshold. The great threshold is the threshold between visible and invisible, life and death, conscious and unconscious. And being a psychologist as well, I really appreciate this ability to cross the great threshold. And I developed myself this ability because I think it is the most important psychological act that a therapist can do. You see, crossing the great threshold and take someone with you is a great therapeutical action. Don't you agree, Michelangelo?
Yeah, because basically the main, if you could translate sort of in Western language, the social purpose of a shaman at the end is that of healing people. That's the main function within a community. And the shaman does this by performing what my mom called the shamanic journey, because the shaman is basically what the ancient Greeks called a psychopomp, a ferryman between what could be called the world of the living or the world of the dead, the world of the spirits and the world of us humans. So in a certain sense, the shaman is a bridge between different worlds. Now, in most Siberian shamanic traditions, they believe there are three levels of the world. There is an upper level of spirits. There is the middle earth, you could say, which we inhabit, and there is an underworld where demons, you could say, live.
Yes. And you see, in one of these three worlds, everyone has a bride or a groom. You see, this is why the center of shamanic thought is the so-called mystical marriage. And I wrote a book about the mystical marriage, which is entitled The Mother Mantra, the Shamanic Yoga of Non-Duality. And this book was published in English by Inner Traditions. So it's available on Amazon and even in the bookshops in the US. In this book, I explain how to enter the mystical marriage, which is a very powerful and happy condition to be. For the ancients, was eudaimonia. The word eudaimonia in Greek means being in companion of a good daimon, with a good guide spirit. Having a good guide spirit with you really changes all your life and makes everything at ease. Don't you agree, Mickey?
Yes.
That's awesome. So a shaman is essentially a person who is able to bridge the gap between the two worlds. Let me ask you this. So you mentioned, I said two worlds, three worlds, as you guys put it. So is there, just because you have the Middle Earth where we are, then you have the angels and the demons. Are the demons in the underworld, is that necessarily bad? Or do the demons assist us and help us in things as well? No,
definitely. All the animistic traditions, I would say, do not have a vertical view of the world, but rather a horizontal view. So this world structure lacks a sort of ethical value. It's not to say that the underworld of demons is necessarily evil and the world above is good. I must say that in the last few centuries, because shamanism, at least in Siberia, has undergone a lot of influence of Buddhism, Islam, and especially Orthodox Christianity, moral concepts that belong to these religions have got into shamanism quite a lot. So you will meet a lot of shamans that have this view that the demons are bad, the spirits of the upper world are good, and generally shamans divide themselves into different. At least in Siberia, again, they divide themselves into black shamans, white shamans, then there are also yellow shamans that are Buddhist shamans. But generally, the black shamans deal with the forces of the underworld, and the white shamans deal instead with, you could say, celestial forces. And nowadays, there is this assumption that black shamans are sort of involved in witchcraft and sort of negative forces.
Curses and things like that.
Exactly. Whilst the white shamans are the good ones, the healers. That is not true. Absolutely not true. It is traditionally, it's simply shamans that have, you could say, different specialities that deal with different types of illnesses, and have performed different ritual purposes in the community. But as I said, with the influx of different moral systems, this perception has changed.
With you mentioned Christianity and Islam and some of these other moral traditions kind of sinking in, and I think that there's just a piece of shamanism in all those religions as well. If for someone who's like a follower of the Christian path, right? Does shamanism go against their traditional beliefs, or would you say that looking at the scriptures in the life of Jesus, was Jesus a shaman?
Oh, for me, Jesus was a shaman, definitely. I'm writing a book about Mary Magdalene now. And so I went deep down in this topic. And I definitely see Jesus as a shaman. You see, a shaman is also someone who can perceive reality not only through his thinking or her thinking mind, but also with her or his heart. You see, we have also a thought of the heart, not only a thought of the mind. We also have a thought of the heart. And a shaman is someone who can think through his or her heart, not only through his or her mind. And Jesus was definitely a shaman from this point of view, you see. And he was a healer, and his way of healing was definitely similar to the way of healing of a shaman. And he crossed the great threshold, and he came back, exactly as the shamans do. You see?
Yeah, there's something that is known as the shamanic death and stuff as well, right?
Oh, yes. I wrote a book also about that, but unfortunately it's still not yet translated in English. Has been translated in other languages, but not in English yet. And I wrote a book about shamanic death, which is a ritual that every real shaman has to perform before to become a shaman. It's a ritual of death, die and be reborn, and is a really great and powerful ritual which changes all your perspective. You see, I think that until an individual has not died and be reburned, he continues to be unhappy and unsatisfied in this planet Earth. The death in life is really a key to shift from suffering, pain, illusions to another completely different way of perception, where pain is not suffering, but is powerful and energy at a very high level. Another way of perceiving reality, where limitations are opportunities. And even death is not an end, but just a transformation, you see. Is a question of awareness. I think that human beings, the present human beings, are full of fear because they live in a dual state of consciousness, where underworld is distincting and separated from the upper world. Is not true. Underworld is distinct but not separated from the upper world. And so are bad and good, which are distinct but not separated. But if you live in a world where bad and good, underworld and upper world are distinct and separated, then you live full of fear. You are full of fear every time. Of course, because you are in fear of bad. And if you are full of fear, you can't awake your real potential, your real possibilities. If you are full of fear, your inner senses are contracted and closed. And so you can't see the invisibility. You can't see what is hidden to the normal senses. And if you can't see what is hidden to the normal senses, of course you die. Of course you die. You finish, you end, because at the moment of dying, you can't perceive your consciousness, which must be continuous between life and death, visible and invisible, interrupts, cut off itself because of fear, you see. Because of fear, human beings are forced to have a death like an end, because they are not able to be aware on the other side of the great threshold. And so they have the impression that death is the end of everything. But it's not. If you can be aware, if you can see, if you can perceive here and there, in the both sides of the great threshold, so you are perfectly able to understand that death is not an end. Death is just love, as everything in this world. Everything is love in this world. And Jesus is the greatest teacher of that. So he is the greatest shaman that we can refer to. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know. I love it. I'm with you on that too. It almost seems like, we hear terms like as above, so below, as within, so without. Like there's this mirror image, and it almost seems like the two realms, the heaven and hell, or the above and below, they're almost like mirror images of one another, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Do you want to say something?
No, I completely agree. Yes. I think that's exactly the point that my mom was trying to get across, and what what the essence of shamanism is, at least.
You see, at the time of Homer, at the time of Homer, only underworld existed, and everyone after death joined the underworld. The upper world entered in the humanity unconscious only later with Virgil. But before, at the Homer times, there were only the inferior world, which has not to be seen as inferior, but as interior, you see. And paradise and hell, the division, the separation between paradise and hell is recently didn't exist at the Homer times.
I think that even comes into Christianity as well. Like when we're reading the scriptures, there was no mention of hell. Like in the Old Testament, hell was like a state of consciousness upon the earth that an individual could walk in, right? It wasn't somewhere that you go when you die, going to hell or to the underworld.
Oh, yes, I agree. I perfectly agree. The separation between heaven and hell, good and bad, is a question of power. It's because human beings want power. They divided the two dimensions in order to be able to have control upon nature and upon other. And you see, shamanism is a really great and powerful tool to overcome this separation. And if you are able to overcome this separation, your fear melts, disappears. And because fear is the very cause of many diseases and sufferings, melting fear is a really great thing that we can do in order to reappropriate our body and nature. We absolutely have to do something to help our bodies and nature in this time. And this is why I believe that shamans and shamanic yoga in particularly, which is my topic, can help a lot.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to get into now. So we're talking about nature and how to interact, but there are practices. There's probably levels to it. There's some really deep ritualistic stuff, but then there's things that everyday people can do to interact as well, right? Like shamanic yoga. That's kind of a new term, even for me. We hear transcendental meditation and different types of yoga, bhakti yoga, and things like that. But what is shamanic yoga, and what is that when you mention that term?
Shamanic yoga is a very primitive and animistic, of course, a form of yoga, and it's about ecstasy. We can say that we do a shamanic yoga when we enter a state of ecstasy. And in this state, which is a state of non-dual consciousness, a state of trance, a trance-like state, I mean, when we enter in this state, we can do yoga in a different manner. We do yoga postures, we do breath control, meditation, all in this state of ecstasy, which is called imaginal forest, sometimes also psychic forest. So when we practice shamanic yoga, at the beginning, we enter the state of consciousness. We enter the imaginal forest. And once we are in, we practice yoga postures, breath control, meditation, all the yoga techniques and methods, but in a state of ecstasy, which is a non-dual state of consciousness, as I said. And this is
how do you enter that state of ecstasy? Is it by doing the practice that gets you to this state, or is it something else that would get you to the ecstatic state first?
We have different instruments. For instance, drumming, music, chanting, voice vibrations, repeating a mantra. The mother mantra is very powerful. 9 repetitions of this mantra allow you to enter the ecstasy state. And also our tools. We have our tools like active visualization. All the tools of shamanic yoga are made, we say, by son experience and mother experience joined together. The mother experience is a visualization experience, and the son experience is an energetic and body experience. So in order to enter the imaginal forest, one has to control the breath in order to rise the energetic level of the body, and then also enter in a special particular visualization, and maybe singing a mantra or playing a drum. This is very helpful as well. And once you are in this state, you are exactly in the middle between visible and invisible, between conscious and unconscious. This is the dimension that we call imaginal. Imaginal, and not imaginary or something else, but imaginal. Imaginal is the Middle Earth, is the space between visible and invisible, life and death, human and divine. And this where all our images, which become thoughts, ideas, emotions, and then events, all the images which become events take place in this space, the imaginal. So you understand that being able to enter this space is the key to become the co-creator of reality.
I like that. I've always kind of went by that term shaman because it's one who's able to kind of bridge the two worlds, and like we're able to access those heightened states of consciousness to go into what we would call the trance state, the dream state, and get that image for ourselves, our dreams, our life's journey. There's a lot of different names and stuff that people have given this. There are destiny scrolls, whatever, to commune with the higher power, to commune with God, their higher self, even go into those states, see that picture of what they are supposed to be doing, their purpose in life, and through these spiritual techniques, almost be able to pull it out of that etheric realm and embody it in the now moment. It's almost a sense of manifestation, the law of attraction, even maybe the secret to be able to go into the trance state and be able to pull things out of that realm. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Every time you make the journey, something within you changes forever. And every time you take out something very important. But what I want to say is that every moment in our life is a shamanic journey. But we have to be aware of that. For instance, when we eat, even when we breathe, when we fall asleep, when we wake up, when we change our mood, we make a shamanic journey. We undertake a shamanic journey. You see, for instance, when we eat something, be it an apple, a carrot, we carry our life between one side to the other of a great threshold. And nobody can do that without undertaking the journey themselves, you see. So every time you eat something, you do a shamanic journey. But if you are not aware of that, you can't really take out from this action. You can really take out from eating what eating can give you. And this is why people nowadays have a neurotic, a really neurotic relationship with food and eating. Because in our society, which is a desacralized society, we have lost the ability to understand the real meaning of our action, because we lost the invisible side of things, you see. And even when you breathe, you take a journey. When you breathe out, you manifest everything that exists. And when you breathe in, you reabsorb or withdraw everything, all the projections, all the images. So if you are really aware of your breath, you can see that life and death are intertwined. And if one can see clearly that life and death are intertwined, one goes beyond fear. And this is the key to live a fulfilled life. Don't you agree with you?
Yes, definitely. I think it's also important. You were saying earlier about the shaman being a bridge again. I think that, and you were saying how being a bridge, he is able to lead you to that invisible dimension where you're able to realize a lot about your life. In that sense, the shaman is even more than a bridge. He's a creator in a certain sense of reality, because you could even say that the role of a shaman is very close to that of a poet, especially in societies where poets do have an important purpose, like I think of ancient Greek society, where the word poet, after all, comes from poiesis, which means the creation, making something. No? The poet was a person who, in a certain sense, created reality, because just like a shaman, a poet goes back to the mythical level of existence, and it's what my mom was saying, in the sense that behind all actions in our life lies a myth, lies, to put it in psychological terms, an archetype, and when you go to Siberia, when you meet these shamans, you really understand that one of the most powerful tools that they have is storytelling. And shamanism, like whole animistic tradition, is really strongly intertwined with mythology. In the case of shamanism, of course, with Turkic and Mongolian mythology, but of course, shamans were very present in ancient Greek, society, with Orphism, etc., which was all intertwined with Greek mythology. So yes, the shaman is a bridge, but he's also the creator of a whole interpretation of existence.
That's good.
Yes, I perfectly agree. Through the storytelling, through our inner narrative, we create our reality. Yeah. And through storytelling, we can change our reality.
Well, just like we're talking about Homer, he created this hell. the underworld, and he gave you pictures and different levels of torment and different levels of purging, and and it gave you a visual representation, and essentially he created it for you, because now it's an adopted thing and it's a part of our religions and things like that. It's something that artistically he created. He went into the ethers of the mind and pulled it out, and now it's presenting it to you, and it's become many people's truth, right?
Yes.
Not necessarily that it's good, I'm not saying it's good, but he created something like that, right? It's, giving it to Christianity, like their concept of hell comes from that,
Yes, and that's amazing. I think that the Greek mythological narrative, I think, still lies very much as the Christian narrative, lies at the basis of our society, at the basis of our moral system, at the basis of even our metaphysical and a scientific even view of the world. And that is why going back to mythology, going back to narratives is really the key to understanding who we are and what we are doing as individuals and as a civilization.
Yeah. I think there's a resurgence now, and we're having this conversation, and many more people are, whether it's shamanism or just the Eastern traditions and spirituality, Native American spirituality as well. All this stuff's coming back. There's a scripture in the Bible that's really close to my heart, and it says to go back and revisit the ancient path. And there at the ancient path, the ancient ways, you'll find rest for your souls, right? And so just going back to these ways that have been forgotten by society today, and our ancestors practiced this. They knew about this type of communication. They knew about breath work and yoga and transcendental meditation. So it's nothing new. It's a resurgence of something very old. What are some of the ideas that come across through maybe even plant medicine? Is that something that you guys participate in? Because I know, like, from the shamanic tradition, they believe that the spirits behind the plants, they want to teach us as well. So the different plant teachers, whether it be ayahuasca, psilocybin, mushrooms, and things like that, that's really catching on now, and people are going to the Amazon. People are taking these trips to reconnect to their spiritual roots. So do you guys practice the use of plant medicines at all?
Yes, I personally practiced also that. I took ayahuasca, and what I can say now is that in the medicine plants, there is a spirit, a forest spirit of the forest. And you see, in my opinion, taking something from outside in order to enter a state of ecstasy, which is an amplified state of consciousness, could be useful, but only if you do that once. Twice is too much. Because if you do it twice, it's because you haven't recognized the spirit being in you in the first time, you see. And so you didn't really meet the spirit. Once you take a medicine plant, a spirit enter within you. And you have to recognize this and be able to understand that this is forever. And you don't need to do it twice. You don't need to do it twice. Once is enough. One death is enough. one birth is enough. One ayahuasca is enough, you see. And yes, this is my opinion. Anyway, in shamanic yoga, we enter ecstasy, we enter amplified state of consciousness, and we undertake the shamanic journey absolutely without anything from outside. All the possibilities are within us, and we undertake the journey through something that is within us. We don't need anything from outside.
And it's very interesting because going through, I mean, I don't have much experience of South America as my mom does, but going through Siberia and Central Asia, we would often ask different shamans what they think about this. Now, because you would meet shamans that would do everything completely drunk, having drunk 2 bottles of vodka or smoking a pipe. Or you would meet a shaman who instead would say, absolutely not, you shouldn't be under the influx of any substance. It's blasphemous to consume any substance during a ritual. And what you come to realize is that the basic rule of shamanism is that there are no rules. So shamanism is a very personal experience, and every single shaman plays his role as a shaman. So connects with different worlds, connects with the spirit in a very individual way, in the way which works for him or her, just as the way in which they became shamans is very personal. And I think that that's something important to take away, that the authentic spiritual experience is something subjective. It's what works for you personally. And what I really personally like about shamanism is the fact that true shamanism emphasizes the idiosyncrasies, the specificities of the individual.
Yes, I perfectly agree. I remember my shamanic yoga teacher when offered me a medicine plant. Before to do that, he brought me into the forest, and he told me, Selene, he asked me, who is breathing? Who is breathing? I start to thinking, oh my God, who is breathing? It's me. No, it's not me, I said to myself. Because when I breathe out, I emit CO2, and the trees breathe in my CO2. And while I'm breathing in, trees produce oxygen, and when I breathe in the oxygen that a tree produces. So who is breathing? Who is breathing? It's not me. And so I answered, it's not me. I don't know who is breathing, but it's not me. And so my teacher said, okay, now you can take the plant. Now you can take the plant. Otherwise, if someone take a medicine plant, you see, keeping his or her consciousness within the sense of I, in the sense of I. If you are in the sense of your I and you take a medicine plant, the result is that you burn some synapses. First of all, you have to go out. You have to go out the walls of your eye. You have to go out the sense of your eye. You must be able to enter the inner space where outside and inside, visible and invisible, individual and forest are distinct but not separated, you see. Once you are in this state of consciousness, then if you take a medicine plant, you do a proper journey. You don't run the risk to burn your synapses, you see. Otherwise, otherwise, if you are in the cage, if you are in the prison of your eye and you take a medicine plant, you run a risk because you have fear. If you are in your sense of eye, you are in the fear. And if you are in the fear and you take a medicine plant, you run always a risk, a big risk. So better to be able to go out of the sense of I before to take a medicine plant.
That's good. We have a question here from the chat. Chris Garner wants to know, as far as the shamanic path is concerned, how do shamans view empathy and being empathetic, being able to feel the emotions of, maybe not just people and spirits, but even the earth, feel the emotions of the earth and learn to sing that song and communicate healing that way. So do you guys talk about, being empathetic at all, being able to feel the energies from that other people are sensing and stuff like that?
Feel energy of the other people. Yes, because you see, once you are beyond morals, which separate bad from good and evil from good, when you are beyond morals, you acquire the power of inclusiveness. And a shaman is also someone who got the power of inclusiveness through the guide of his or her invisible lover, the guide spirit, you see. And be inclusive. Having the power of inclusiveness doesn't mean simply perceive the emotions of the other, but means being the others. You see?
And even further than that, I think that what you're getting at is that shamanism tends to substitute an ethical perception of the world, that is, other people, but also, as you were saying, nature and the cosmos in general. Substitute the ethical perception of the world with an aesthetic perception of the world. Aesthetic doesn't mean beautiful, but going back to the original Greek root of the word, a perception that puts at the center feeling, no? Aesthetical as the opposite of anesthetical, no? And so they change completely the narrative with which we see things. Now, for example, now the burning of forests in the Arctic or the Amazon rainforest, we see it as a biodiversity or ecological disaster. We see it as the loss of the people who put it in terms of economical loss. What the shamans say, and what the shamans have been saying in Siberia, for example, is that the forests are crying, the forests are dying, no, in a way as if to sort of personalize these forests, talking to them about them as if they were people, with emotions such as ours. I feel that is really an aesthetic perception of the world. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely. We always say in shamanic yoga, shamanic path, that aesthetic experience is the great alternative to therapeutic model. If a therapeutic model is seen to be the only go-to solutions for all kind of problem, we can't see that there is an alternative, which is not an alternative therapy, but which is an alternative to therapy. You see, because therapy is an aesthetic path. Aesthetic aesthetic experience, which is also an ecstatic, a poetic experience, which is a shamanic experience, is the experience of inclusiveness.
Which is bringing back the soul to everything. Now, my mom began by saying we live in a desacralized world. And I believe that this shift from ethic to aesthetic, this saying the forest is dying, the forest is crying, is a bringing back of the soul into everything, to that world which we've objectified and which we have therefore subjected to considerations of a purely economic kind.
Yes, and I think that this encounters also the true Christianity, the Christianity of the origin. You see, at the beginning, Abel and Cain were brothers, and to be brothers in the myth means to be two faces of the same reality. Two faces of the same reality. But after that, you see, everything went lost because human beings want power. And in order to have power, in order to have control, you have absolutely to separate and divide bad from good. And this is not in nature. Nature, as he said, as my son said, nature has an horizontal perspective and not a vertical one like the mind has.
That's good. What is the mother mantra?
It's a mantra. It's a very powerful mantra. It's a vibration. It's a vibration. You see, they used the habitus. They used to put the centrality of the awareness in the eye, in the sense of eye, is a very habit of our civilization. And how one can go beyond that is not easy, because the conditionment is very deep in ourselves. So we have to go deep down in order to cleanse the conditionment. And we have to reach our organs, because the conditionment is in our organs, is in our body. We have to go very deep down, and through a mantra we can do that, because a mantra is a vibration, and through a vibration of the mantra we can reach the mind of the cells, which is a vibrational form of consciousness. And a mantra is a very powerful tool. But the mother mantra tradition is not only the repetition of the mantra. The mantra tradition, as I said before, is the core of Shamanic Yoga teachings, and is the tradition of the mystical marriage. Many practices and healing exercises are known in this tradition. And all these practices and healing exercises are done with the company of our guide spirit, which is seen as a bride or a groom, as an invisible lover in the shamanic traditions of the world. And in my book, all these practices and healing exercises are well described. So through the book, I think people can do a lot. And if it is not enough, they can go on my website, for instance, and on my website, selenecalloniwilliams.com, there are a lot of webinars, free webinars and videos in which I describe how to enter the imaginal forest, how to practice the healing exercises, how to enter the mystical marriage, and so on. I think there are very powerful tools, very necessary nowadays for the present human beings.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really good work. And thank you so much for coming on. I got another question for your son. When's your book coming out?
Well, now I'm starting some research on Central Asian shamanism at Cambridge, and we'll see. Maybe I'll end up writing a book.
Be awesome, man. Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Again, Selene, your website is SeleneCalloniWilliams.com, and there you can check out the book. And you have a bunch of resources and teachings and stuff on your website. Your website's really well made. So, yeah, make sure everybody, you guys head on over there, check out the book and everything that she has as well. So, is there anything that we didn't cover that you guys wanted to speak on, man, before we go?
Anything else?
Anything else?
There's too much that could be covered.
Yeah, there's too much, really. There's too much.
I think we did a great overview, just touching on a lot of different subjects and just kind of giving an overview about what shamanism is, and not to be scared of it. And, you know, we do have a decent sized Christian audience here, and it's awesome to kind of bridge the gap even there to let them know that their founder, Jesus, was a shaman as well, one who is very well versed in working with the spirits and back and forth between the worlds, quite literally even, right?
Yes. I could say something about Gnosticism, which was and is also the Christianity, the esoteric Christianity. In the esoteric Christianity, you see, we can find the mystical marriage image too. And it's the marriage between Christ and Sophia.
Yes.
Sophia, the word Sophia in Greek means knowledge, and Christ is love. Christ and Sophia have never to be divided. They have always to be together in every one of us, you see. If we divided the knowledge from love, then we have trouble. And Jesus is a really great master, a really great teacher who can teach us how to keep wisdom and love always together. In our society, because it's a desacralized society, the one who knows doesn't have a power, and the one who have power doesn't know. Yes, it's true. There is a knowledge of the power, but there is such knowledge of the one who has power, but is a technical knowledge, is a strategic knowledge, and the one who knows doesn't have power because he is a truth seeker, you see, and he is interested in seek the truth and not in the power. This is why this division, this separation between knowledge and power in our civilization is a really great problem. In my opinion, we need that person who has knowledge are also willing to get power and to guide this society to a new, different dimension, which must be absolutely the dimension of love. We need leaders in our society who are able not only to have a technical, strategical knowledge, but who are able to love and to think through love. We need that, and we need that urgently, you see, urgently.
Someone like Donald Trump. I'm joking. The quite opposite of what you just said, you know. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, I find it funny because Joe Rogan from the Joe Rogan podcast, he says that he thinks that all the leaders need to get up and do mushrooms together and then let them experience eternity, let them experience the heights of the heavens and the depths of hell, and let them see what reality really is, and then they will come back more loving, more empathetic, and more ready to serve people versus serve the big pharma companies and the big oil industries and things like that. So that's his say. That's all we need to do. Just get them all together and let the plants teach them, right? I think it would change their lives, right? I don't know if it would happen in a perfect world, it would, but I thought that was interesting that he said that.
To get together and do shamanic yoga, I think.
Sounds awesome. So so in the book, there's some techniques and things that you give. Are there any videos and stuff on the website that actually show you guys doing the practice and stuff as well?
Yes. On my website and on my YouTube channel, there are a lot of videos about the healing practices, and people can practice looking at the videos. It's very easy. Shamanic yoga is a very easy way of doing yoga because it's a very ancient yoga, and so it's simple. You see, when you go back in time, you reach simple, very simple.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I love it, and I'm very, all the practices that you said I like to accompany as well. We talk about, I'm a poet as well, so what I bring to the table in creating these realms and these mystical experiences through my music, and we talk about the power of it, and other people listen to the music, and it allows them to kind of journey and go on those experiences as well, and which is really interesting, the power of the poet or the creator, as you said. And it's definitely, we have the music raises vibration or puts you in a trance state anyway, and then you have the lyrics and the intention and everything, and the sounds and the different frequencies. Even I put theta waves and binaural beats and things like that. It creates for a beautiful experience through meditation as well. So that's awesome you mentioned that.
Of course, I mean the most important tool of any shaman is the drum, definitely. Singing with a drum is at the center. Is the way in which a shaman reaches that state that my mom calls ecstasy, that trance-like state through music, through rhythm. Definitely. Yeah.
It's the drum, but that's just the beginning, right? You have the drum, you maybe have incense, you maybe have the breath work, the visualization, all combined together. The beautiful thing is, the reason I like this indigenous path, which more people are going back to, is because you don't need anything outside of you. And that's even the thing with the plant medicines, is you have to seek something outside of yourself to get you in that state, when really everything is already within. Your breathing techniques, your visualization, chanting mantras, it's all things that we can do by ourselves, and we don't need anything outside of ourselves, which is the really cool part about the spiritual path of the ancients. And I believe Jesus taught that too, right? Obviously what we have in Christianity is something totally different than what Jesus brought to the table, but that's where the power really lies in, is that we all can enter in wherever we are, no matter what belief system we have. These practices, they're no respecter of persons, right? They work for everybody, right?
Yes. I feel the Jesus figure image very close by me, and you see, I come from a very Christianity terrain environment. I have a grandmom who was a shaman, and she was so Christian and so close by Jesus. And so I realized since I was very young that we also, Western people, we have a shamanic, strong traditions which goes through Christianity. And now I think that we must be able to recover, to remember this tradition. It's very useful for us, for nature, and for Christianity as well, because we have I think we have to help Christianity to remember its origin, and to get rid of
dogma.
All, yes.
Institution.
Get rid of all that institution have done.
Yeah, that's pretty much my assignment, and I work in the Christian realm somewhat, and going back, just reading the Bible and just seeing how in touch these people were with the spirit world. I mean, they were interacting with angels, they were going into trance state, they were fasting and just only eating plants and vegetables for a prolonged period of time, and in the midst of doing that they would meet with angels and things like that. So the Bible is full of these beautiful encounters and experiences that, to me, you enter those states through shamanic yoga, right? There's the spiritual practice and the spiritual beliefs of the ancients, right? I think, it doesn't say that, but it doesn't use that term right in the Bible, but I think some of the things that they were doing and walking in a spirit of love and knowing that love was the highest form of vibration, and doing that and being able to conquer your fears and transcend the lower levels of reality and things like that. So it's really beautiful when, like you said, being able to help Christianity remember who they were, not become something different, but just remember who you were.
Just remember, yes. But you think at the Eucharistia, it's a shamanic ritual. You eat the body Christ, the body of Christ, and you drink the blood of Christ. This is a shamanic ritual, you see. In shamanism, a similar ritual is well known since the times of the origin, since the very ancient time. Shamans perform such a ritual because they are perfectly aware that Christ is everywhere. Everywhere love is, Christ is. And so if you eat an apple, which gives itself for you, if you eat a tomato or a carrot, which gives its life for you, so what you eat at the end? What you eat at the end? You eat love. You eat love. So everything we can eat is love. Everything we can eat is Christ. Everything we can drink is love. Everything we can drink is Christ. And we have polluted water. We have contaminated food. That means that we have contaminated Christ. We have contaminated water. We have contaminated our idea of God. We have contaminated our feeling of love. And we have to cleanse it. And this means that we have to remember the origins. We have to remember the beginning, you see, of our faith.
I agree. Yeah, that's so good.
Yes, I think that faith is the greatest power of human being. Faith and love are two faces of the same reality. And faith, love, faith is the greatest power of human beings. If you can remember this power, you have everything. You don't need anything else. Motivation, productivity, cleverness are all invention. You see, all invention of illusion of the mind. We have only one great power, which is faith and love. Faith, love. And if we remember this power, we don't need anything else. We have everything. We have the freedom. And in freedom, everything is included. Wellness, richness, are all aspects of freedom. We must be free. And in order to be free, we need to remember our power of faith and love. We need to remember Jesus Christ.
I love it. Well, Selene, thank you for coming on, you and your son. I enjoyed your presence as well, man. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Really enjoyed this episode. Again, right here at the last moment, let's go ahead and plug your website again one more time for everybody.
Selene Calloni.
Website, yes. SeleneCalloniWilliams.com.
Which is Selene Calloni,
CAALLONI Williams.com.
I love it, guys. Thanks so much, man. I'd love to have y'all back on again. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
All right, many blessings. Bye-bye.
Bless-
Loved it. Selene Calloni Williams and her son. Great addition to the podcast. Man, loved it. Just talking about returning again to the ancient path, man. Shamanic Yoga. It almost seems like just all of the indigenous spirituality combined, right? So I think in some ways we're all students of Shamanic Yoga. We're all influenced by it, right? There's many different types of yoga. Mindfulness for yoga, Kundalini yoga, but I think it encompasses a little bit of all of it. The rhythm of the drum puts me under hypnosis, anointed by the fire of tongues that's cloven. Hebrews, mystics, prophets chosen. Share it with the world, now truth is spoken. The drums, man, all of these things, and I've been telling people recently, just trying to introduce them to breath work and how powerful that is, and putting that in, trying that with your meditations and with your closet time and things like that. But the drums and the rhythm, and then getting your body and your spine in motion and rhythm with the drums as well, is so powerful. Man, the new Tool CD album just got leaked. Fear Inoculum comes out in 4 days, but it's leaked, and I got to listen to it some this morning. And then it's amazing. The music, every song is over 10 minutes, and it's almost like a spiritual experience in and of itself that you can put on and go in. So if you listen to this album, and you meditate, close your eyes and go within, move your body, do some of the different kriyas and some of the different bodily positions with the breath work. I mean, the number 2 on the album is a song called Numa, which is about the sacred breath and returning to the breath and remembering the breath. Don't forget the breath, guys, right? Listen to that song while doing breathing exercises. Oh my goodness, that in and of itself is a spiritual experience. And so the new Tool album is a tool for us to enter those states, man. It's awesome because the different timing signatures and the lyrics that are being spoken, the tones, man, it is so beautiful. So that's something that we can embrace. I'd love to do that with a group of people. Just go and meditate and listen to that freaking album, man. The timing signatures, the drums. Man, It's an experience. It's a roller coaster of just the really soft tones and then taking you onto some different heavier melodies and stuff like that. So it's really beautiful. Embracing all of it. I don't think that there's one that's greater than the other. I don't think that you even have to do them all together, but it's like the more the merrier, right? You got your incense burning. You got some crystals around you. You got, you have the aromatherapy with the incense, light healing, right? You got your light on with you. Put on some good healing light, some green light meditation. Oh man, the frequencies and tones that you're listening to in your meditation, and then the drums, and then the chanting the ohms or the ums, or the different mantras. Again, she's talking about the mother mantra is the name of her book. Another mantra that is really beautiful, near and dear to my heart, is the mantra Ramadasa Sase Sohung. There's different ways that you can do it. I'm not the best at doing those mantras in a group of people. I really don't like to hear the sound of my voice doing that back, because I don't think I'm that good at it. But when I'm by myself and I tap in by myself and I'm doing these mantras, even if it's just doing the Om mantras, doing it in a 3-part syllable, the 3 different parts, you can feel it. The starts off in the stomach and you're vibrating. The O is more in the throat, and then the is all in the face, and you can feel it stimulating the third eye. You can feel it stimulating the third eye, the pineal gland. So if you have all that stuff and you combined it, you're trying to leave your body, there you go. All the tools are there. You're trying to meet with God, there you go. Trying to encounter angels, summon UFOs, there you go. You create it with the imaginal force of the mind. And then it becomes reality. It's different if it's just strong delusion and you're just imagining things that aren't there. But when it almost all is just not there, right? Because there's no proof until it crosses the threshold into this reality. Now we've done something. You're summoning UFOs. People think you're crazy. Wait, one peered through. One showed up. Okay, hold on. Something's happening. You're out there trying to summon UFOs, praying for angels to show up. And it's just this weird place in the mind that you're like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to engage this to see if there's anything there. Then it shows up. You're meeting with angels in the etheric realm who are giving you blessings or whispering wisdom to you. But then it shows up. In your waking state, you were able as a shaman to go into that realm and pull something out. You were able to bid the angels to show up, and they made an appearance. Again, with the dualistic nature of everything, there's pros and cons. There's good and bad, right? Be careful. Don't get caught up in the worshiping of angels as some have, who has so easily bewitched you from the simplicity of the gospel. Right? There's these things, these warnings, these checks that we got to make sure that we're not so far out there, that we're so spiritually minded, that we're no earthly good. But the shaman, the mystic, someone who stands in the gap, in the threshold between heaven and earth, and is a bridge of the two, which is through the Christian mystic would approach that through Christ and what he did, and he torn the veil that we can freely travel, that we can freely have access to the Father, and we don't need to go to a pastor, we don't need to go to an altar, but we create an altar within our own heart and within our own homes and within our own sacred space. That God comes in and fills the temple. How? Through the breath. Experiencing God and as close as your next breath, and being able to feel the Holy Spirit, to be able to be at one, to be meditating with your feet on the ground, sitting out in nature, the cool breeze blowing against your face, and you're immediately transported back to that place where Adam walked with God in the cool of the day. And then you're not just at one with yourself. You're not just at one with your family and your friends and the other believers. You're at one with all of creation. The birds, the insects, the worms, they're communicating. You learn their song. It moves on. It becomes, it gets a lot bigger. Your spirituality, your theology gets a lot more inclusive. and you see how small you really are in this whole scape of things, and how everything is meant to be here. Everything exists for a reason. And you feel the wind blow, and you look at the trees, and the wind just begins to move through the trees, and it almost is like an entity that's pushing the trees. These experiences, man, that we were talking about just Sunday morning on our SEER classes, like we just was getting into some really deep conversation. And, we can talk about this stuff. And I know that talking, just like the brother said, how the poet, is creating it, and it's creating something within people. When they hear this, they want more. They're wanting to draw away. I mean, I look at my music and it's all there. But it hits different individuals differently. Some people hear it, turn it off. I don't like it. I don't believe it. I don't even know what you're talking about. You're making it up as you go. Some people say that. Other people would hear it and be like, man, it ignites something within them to go outside, to begin to stargaze, to go and book a flight to Trout Lake, Washington, to go to James Gilliland's Isetti Ranch and go have an encounter there for themselves, to book a shaman, to book a session with a Reiki master or a healer, or a one-on-one session over the internet, whatever it is, man. But just to kind of step out, it's unlocking things within you as we're dealing with energy, as we're dealing with the language of light, the higher vibration of love. It's all love. She said faith and love, the two highest, right? They complement one another. One doesn't exist without the other. The Bible says that faith, that love is what fuels your faith. Love is like your faith in action, right? It's not just having faith of just believing in the unseen, but it's about walking in it and doing something. Well, we believe in angels. Yeah, we believe in demons, but have you engaged them? Have you seen them? You can. All of this stuff is possible and more, and it is embraced through what we've talked about today, shamanic yoga. These rituals, everybody wants the terms and traditions. They want to own it. This is mine. This is ours. I want to put a distinction between the two. This is universal. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is one. God is not divided. He is in both realms. The good, the bad, the ugly. I'm the Lord thy God. I create light and darkness, is what the scripture says. There's no difference, but you need the two. There is not one without the other. The yin and the yang, they're both together. The good and the bad. Learn to rejoice within both. As the Apostle Paul said, I am content. I can do all things through Christ. No matter what season of his life that he's in, he knows that it's all working together for his good. And that's what needs to be imparted to us. A level of gratitude so strong that nothing can pull you off of that path. Nothing can deter you off of the road that God has put you on and God has called you to. Yeah, there's trials, there's tribulations, there's doubt, there's fears, there's all these things, but they all work together for your good. Working and building and releasing something in you that can't be bought. They tried to buy the gift of God. They tried to buy the Holy Spirit. It can't be bought. This is something that's going to take a lifetime to cultivate, a lifetime to walk in. And as you maintain it and you work with it in the different levels and complexities and the different points of view of the Holy Spirit and of God's plan for your life, you're able to see it in everything. Working for your good in everything. Not just the good things, the fun times. Without the bad times, there are no fun times. You have no contrast there. There's nothing to compare it to. You don't know what the light is until you've sat in utter darkness. Thank God for the darkness. Thank God for the light. For all of it, this beautiful journey, which God, the Father, is the author and the finisher of our faith. This is beautifully written out. Your path is beautifully written. There's a plan and a purpose for you. Don't grow weary in well-doing. Get with the author of that plan. Get with the one who wrote it. How? First of all, we get to it through love itself, which is Jesus, right? But then the practice, the spiritual practice. Do the same things Jesus did. Shamanic yoga. the trance state, singing, worship. Look it's all throughout the scriptures, man. I try my best to give you examples and bring this stuff out. But it is attainable for everyone, and as much as you're willing and able to believe God for, it's available. It's possible. That's how. Like, that's between you and God. If the Bible says that whatsoever you believe, it'll be given to you according to your faith, not my faith. Nothing shall by any means be impossible unto you. Well, what's that nothing? Well, nothing is different for each one of us. That nothing is different. Nothing to you may be trying to heal your ancestral path. Nothing for me may be trying to pay the bills this month. Nothing for someone else is restoring a marriage. This is nothing shall by any means be impossible unto you. It'll be given to you according to your faith, according to the way that you believe. Nothing is impossible. All things are possible. For he has turned our mourning into dancing, our sorrow into joy, our night into day. Believe God for it, man. And he's got you this far, but he's got greater things in store. Your best days are ahead of you. Believe it. That's the Bible. Believe it. It's for you. Prophesy to your life, guys. Man, I really enjoyed this talk. It was really good. The indigenous path, and I'm stepping a little bit closer into mine as well, and I'm having fun doing it and remembering it. So we get caught up sometimes, and I've said this many times. I don't learn anymore. I'm just kind of trying to articulate and teach the things that I've spent years learning. Well, you know what? We all have to tap in through practice. And so that's what we do on the Sunday seer class and the Thursday night School of the Mystics. We do that together as a body, as a group, and it's beautiful. So make sure you guys check that out, what we bring to the table via our Patreon. Small group, you're looking for people who are like-minded, patreon.com/TruthSeekah. If you believe in the work, please support. Any level of giving means the world to me. It lets me know that you believe in it. And you sign up and get access to all kinds of things. It's cool because even if it's $1, you're privy to the email list, which to pay for an email list that size, it gets expensive. So you're privy to a whole bunch of stuff. It's not just the music. It's just not the seer class or the School of the Mystics. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So thank you guys for believing in my work. Again, September the 14th, the Christ Consciousness Conference in Mobile, Alabama. If you want to meet me, you want to have dinner, it's going to be that type of event. It's going to be intimate. And depending on how this one goes, it's going to move forward if we do more. So we may do some, once the weather gets a little bit cooler, I already have something else in mind to do, but we'll see how this goes, man. I'm excited for it. Even if it's only a couple people who show up, we're going to go after it. We're going to go in together, and pretty much everything that we talked about today, we're going to be doing that and more. So with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. TruthSeekah.com, patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Thank you guys. Love each and every one of y'all. We'll do it again tomorrow, actually. Peace, peace.
Your way so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.